All right. Hey, everybody. Andy Sachs here with Coldwell Banker and the Round team with my friend Deb Sullivan. Deb, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Andy.
Yeah, always. Deb is the owner, as most people know, of the MediSpa here in town. And just kind of continue our series of interviews and discussions with small business owners. Deb, want to get a feel for what you guys are experiencing.
Mm.
I think a lot of the focus, and rightfully so, is on keeping our restaurants and those people alive and surviving. But there's also a million other small businesses of all kinds here in town, and you're certainly one of them, and very prominent in town in your involvement and service. And kind of want to hear what you guys are experiencing, both your struggles, what you're doing to survive, and kind of how you see the way out of this thing as we hopefully peak out and flatten the curve.
Yeah, thanks. Well, we have closed. The business has been closed now for several weeks. When it was first recommended that we socially isolate, I actually had a meeting at that time with my staff, and one of the most emotional meetings I've ever had with them, because I couldn't see putting so many people that I've come to love out of work,
Yeah.
and knowing the struggles that they individually would have, besides the struggles that I had to my business. And collectively, there was almost a sigh of relief that we were going to shut down. I think everyone knew the importance of what we needed to do in socially isolating. And the business, it'll be fine. We're all going to be fine and know that. We're all going to come out of this. But through the last few weeks, what I've seen is there's been such tremendous support in all directions. So from my staff, first of all, we've stayed on a group text, and you think like a group text with 22 people would be making you go out of your mind. But it's so supportive just to still be in, Jackie's life, that she's pregnant, and hearing about her baby growing, or Nicole's baby growing, or hearing about, who got unemployment, who didn't, hey, check out this link. And the support they've given to each other has been amazing. The support that we've gotten from our patients, we are trying to maintain some sort of business through online sales, virtual consults, skincare sales. And we did a big anniversary sale last week online.
Yeah.
And it was the most successful anniversary sale that we've had in 8 years.
Wow.
And that was because so many of our patients came out and really put faith in us, supported us. And I couldn't believe the amount of services that people were buying blindly. Like, they don't know if we're ever going to open again. I know we will, but this is people that really put their faith in us. So I think the positive, I'm really taking a lot of positive out of this. Even on a personal level, I've never had weeks alone with my kids. I'm having some really great family time. And on the flip side, I know there's a lot of negative. I know there's a lot of thickness and depth for some people, and I'm praying for them every day. But trying to balance everything that's going on in the world right now.
It's, I tell you what, the weekends have been really cool. I'm still doing a lot of work during the week, but I go upstairs for lunch. The weekends, we don't have as many clients to show houses or listing appointments, obviously. So it's just, you've been here with my mind not elsewhere, and it's really incredible.
You should plan. You should plan for a huge influx of people. I think everyone's going to want to get out of New York City.
We are. We're actually. It's we are. It's true. And I actually did an interview last week with a friend of mine who's an agent in Manhattan, and yes, 100%. A lot of our buyers we've seen from a affordability factor have been coming out of Westchester for the past year, but now we're expecting kind of the urban flight out of there into Westchester, pushing people up this way. It's real. It's already happening, even just in the past 3 weeks. So which will benefit all of our businesses, quite frankly.
It will. And where else would you want to live, I think, besides Newtown? I have some colleagues in New York that have the same business that I do, and they're not doing very well because they're one of 100 different offices within, a 6-mile radius. And there is not that loyalty factor. It's not that small town feel. And some of them said, I need to get the hell out of Manhattan when this is all over. and just find some place in the suburbs. And
Yeah,
I definitely see a big influx of people moving to the suburbs after this. People don't
absolutely. You know, and that's a great segue. How do you see, you know, as things get better, how do you see them? You know, where is the turning point, right? Where, at what point? Obviously, we have to all be comfortable going out in public, being around people,
Mhm.
and going from there. But at what point do we feel confident in, you know, in growing business again and in selling business like we used to, right? Like, what does that look like?
Going forward, it's all related to safety first and foremost. I'm sure, I mean, in my mind, what I think will happen if you look at what Italy's doing and following the projection of what they're trying to now initiate, they're initiating the possibility of antibody testing. But they
Hmm.
still don't know what they're going to do with those results. Are they going to let the people that test positive antibodies out into the workforce? Or do they then give the people who didn't have COVID a pass, saying, I'm clear, and they're going to go out into the workforce?
Right.
I think we have a great model there to follow, but
But
I
we have
think
to get it
it's
and
just a
test
matter
it.
of time. But it's going to
And
be more time than this month or next month. We're looking at a few months of just going over that curve and then coming back into society together safely. We're not
yeah,
going to harm each other.
yeah, and that coming back, we talked about it briefly before we started recording. Is, you know, even when we feel comfortable, there's still going to be that threat of kind of, you know, a spike again, and
Sure.
going back into some kind of isolation, and how do they unravel that, right? At what point, you know, does business change forever, right? I mean, are you at the MediSpa when people will be waiting in the waiting room and kind of hanging out and talking? Are you only going to be allowed to have one person in the waiting room and one person in each, you know, service room, right?
Oh,
Like,
for sure. For sure. It'll definitely, I'm sure not just with my practice, with all medical practices, it'll most likely increase appointment length times where, let's say we saw someone in 45 minutes and now be an hour or an hour and 15 minutes where you have that buffer time. So if I'm running late, someone won't be waiting there in the waiting room
right,
next to someone else and a crowd forms, and you're going to try and minimize that as much as possible. And even the
right,
face-to-face contact, when I'm treating someone, I'm right up against their face to have a mask or to give the person an option to say, would you like me to put a mask on today?
right.
That should be in effect for a very long time to come, just to
Until
have
the
someone feel
vaccine
safe.
is
Yes, until there's a vaccine, and
right.
then we know we're all safe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'll be here in a year, but for the next year, we have to be diligent in the way we make this.
Yeah, we can't be overconfident, right? I think we just have to
No.
be overcautious,
Yeah.
but we also have to find a point when it's appropriate that we get out there and start living life again to the best of our abilities.
Yes. And
So
we will. It's just and
yeah,
a lot of people that I talk to, they're just down and they're sad. I'm sorry. There I go, pumping. They're down, they're sad about everything going on, but you need to find the positive in the day. I think what's helped me so much is Zoom calls with friends at night.
yeah,
Just to be able to have that social interaction, whether it's in a bar or in your house, but you see a bunch of people on the screen. Or I do a live CrossFit class in the morning, and
hmm,
just still hearing my coach talk and yell at me or yell at other people who are exercising with me, it just gives you a sense of community again.
yeah.
And if you're missing that, there are ways to find it, even though we're isolating.
Well, it's
So
so
a
interesting.
sense of importance of isolation, we still need to isolate, right?
Yeah, and what I agree 100%. And these calls always end up going to the same place where, like, you have to find that normalcy. And what's even little comfort in me, and I said it before, is that we're literally all in this together. Like, everybody is in this. So
Yes.
nobody's different. There's different, obviously, financial struggles or other things involved, health, things like that. But at the end of the day, we're all sitting in our basements. We're all sitting alone at our office. We're all sitting alone somewhere, and being able to connect is what's going to bring us through, because,
Yes.
you know, just a different level of connection. But Deb, I appreciate you. I appreciate your involvement in town, and I'm always admired how you've grown this great business, right? I mean, it's kind of from a dream to a reality, and thriving and growing, and I love your positive attitude. I agree. I mean, we will all be okay. So how we do business might change, maybe some for part-time, some forever. But we'll be fine from this, and I think we'll learn a lot from it as well. We have to. I mean, we owe it to what's happening in our lives to learn from it.
But that being said, though, Andy, it's not like you also have to have realistic expectations. I'm not expecting to come back and say, hey, we're back and we're, back at 100. This took us back 3-4 years.
Yep.
It really did. And to the point where we were 3-4 years ago, it will build up again, but it's going to take work. It's going to take time for
Yep.
everyone's business out there. And I hope that the small businesses out there are supported by the community. I will support as many as I can, especially the restaurants. I know they're really taking a hit, and there's some really great owners in this town.
Absolutely.
With the restaurants I'm very good friends with, and trying to keep supporting them as much as possible, especially when we get back into.
Yeah, we all have to do our part. And I agree. I think it's going to be a long road back, but it will be rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we, I think we do what our town does best, and we kind of come together and we do the best we can to support each other and realize everybody is on some level of need. So,
Yeah.
but thank you, Deb. I appreciate you jumping on with me and appreciate your insights and all your efforts.
Thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, bud.